Hello YouTube. You've read the title of the video correctly. Crafting is absolutely not dead, and I'm going to explain exactly why, because there's been a lot of glooming, a lot of dooming, and a lot of warmongering about crafting being dead and the game being ruined by the removal of certain things, but that is not true at all. At the end of this video, I will actually show a live example without using any of the stuff that they've removed to show that crafting is indeed very much alive. First, I'm going to show you something very, very important that so many of you just missed. So let's take a look at that first. So the first thing is, if you go over to the reveal page, which is pathofexile2.com/druids, and you scroll down to this part right here, face the Royal Architect. So if you don't know, there's a boss inside the Val Temple mechanic. It's a mini boss or like a side boss instead of the actual boss. And this boss has a line here that says, defeating the architect will grant you access to even more special rewards and crafting mechanics and blah, 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 blah. So this part right here. Now, this is open to interpretation, but from what I'm seeing here is they took stuff that Abyss was giving, generally speaking, and they took that out, removed the overpowered stuff, and put some of the power back in to the new league mechanic. Now we have no idea what these crafting mechanics are going to be. They are not going to be this, okay? Because this is literally written in a completely separate section. They are not referring to the corruption altars or any of that stuff, because all of that is written separately. Okay, all of that is written in separate pages. It's over here, the Transcension device, the whatever the heck this is, all of that stuff is written separately. It is not linked to this guy, right? So he will give you separate, different crafting mechanics that are not related to any of the other stuff that they already talked about in the launch video. Alongside this, there's actually one thing that Mark said in the dev interview or the Q&A after the original reveal stream, and I'm going to play it here, so listen.
We've effectively got our, allocated amount of rewards and crafting and stuff for what a league is allowed to do and should do, and we're just trying to make sure that, it fulfills that, it fills that budget, so to speak. Right.
So for context, Ziggy D mentioned how in 0.3, the Abyss Bones during the campaign gave you a lot of crafting power because you were just able to get a decent mod on your probably very crappy items, and that gave you a very nice boost in the campaign. And they were mentioning how in 0.4, they're now adding these small temples, the elite mechanic, where they'll just have a bunch of exalted orbs, regal orbs, and stuff like that, not to take, not to loot, but to just put your item into the thing, and you just slam like a few exalts onto your gear and leave. But while that is really good for campaign, I'm here to talk about the crafting part, right? And what Mark said is every league mechanic has a certain budget that has either crafting mechanics or other forms of character power. For example, in Path of Exile 1, if you did not play this league or you don't play that game, we just had our new Breach League, and in that league, we had a whole crafting tree that gave out really, really strong items. And when this league is over, that tree will probably go away and it'll be replaced by something else. So every league, they do have an option of a way to craft or a way to get power that you otherwise would not be able to get outside of that league. So in this one specifically, 0.4, they're removing not the Abyss stuff. So the Abyss stuff is staying, right? It's going to be rarer now because Abyss is not the main league mechanic, but it's staying. But the thing they're removing are the homogenizing elements, right? So what I feel is in this Royal Architect chamber, you're not going to get homogenizing back, okay? They were very adamant in this post right here, in this video, and in another interview, that homogenizing omens were illegal. They were way too powerful, and they basically made it completely irrelevant to grind for gear because you could just go from campaign gear straight to endgame gear with no gap in between. However, this is probably going to be something close to that power. It could either be more likely, so how the catalyzing omen works, it gives you a chance to get a modifier of the same type as the catalyst. It's not guaranteed, but there's a chance. So it could be this is a weaker form of homogenizing. This could be anything, right? This is just a theory. This could be anything, or this could be nothing. Or maybe this is just bad wording and or bad planning, and this crafting mechanic stuff here is talking about this stuff. Right? It could be. It could be. But just to give you guys some copium that crafting can still potentially be stronger than we think. However, that is not everything. So back in game, again, the only crafting mechanic that's being removed, the only thing, is this and this. Okay? The omen of homogenizing coronation and the omen of homogenizing exaltation. And that's it. Okay? We still have all of the abyss stuff. So omen of abyssal echoes, omen of dextral necromancy, omen essence of the abyss, all of this stuff combined with all the desecrated bones for the weapons, for amulets, for everything, all of that is still in. So the ability to get one guaranteed good modifier still exists. Right, so all of this gear over here, the desecrated modifier still exists. Okay, and then we still have our corrupted essences, which will remove a random mod and add a guaranteed good one. So in this one, the 30% movement speed for boots still exists. Right, combined with that, we still have our omen of dextral crystallization, which allows us to remove a specific suffix or prefix and replace that specific one with the essence mod. That's still there. We still have our perfect regular essences. That's still there. We have greater essences to go from a magic item to a rare item with a guaranteed mod. That's still there. We still have our perfect transmutes and perfect augmentations to make good blue items to then use the greater essences to get something good. And we have a combination to get a good rare item to start with and then go from there. We still have a bunch of different stuff along with the fact that we have greater exalts and perfect exalts in the end. So to summarize, we have perfect transmutes, perfect dogs, to go from a white item to a blue item with at least 1 or 2 good modifiers. Then we use a greater essence to go from those 1 to 2 mods to 3 good modifiers. And then we have a desecration to go to 4 good modifiers. We have perfect essences to go to 5 good modifiers if you remove the correct bad mod. Okay, so that is now 5 modifiers that you already have on your item that are almost perfect, either 5 or 4. And then the last step, usually it was the final step, where you would use the omen of homogenizing exaltation. In most crafts, this was the final thing because in most cases, the problem was you could not finish an item without being able to use this. Because before 0.3, before all these omens, the only way to finish items was to YOLO Exalt Slam them. So you're just back to that. That is the only thing that's changed. So instead of having perfect 6 mod items, you're going to have perfect 5 mod items or 4 mod items. And your final modifier will be slammed on with a great exalt or a perfect exalt. So you still have those. I'm now going to show you guys a sample craft, okay? Just to prove that you don't need this omen to make good items for yourself or whatever builds or even profit crafting for the end game, okay? So I have a blue amulet and I didn't buy this off trade. I literally got this off of 2gen, okay? And this has tier 1 percent ES. Screw the suffix, this is just tier 1 percent ES, okay? What do you do next? You take any sort of greater essence, let's say this one for fire res, boom. Now it's a magic item with tier 1 ES and 2 suffixes. What's next? Well, you are going to use a omen of dextral crystallization, like that, and you will use a perfect essence of enhancement, like that. This will remove one of those suffixes. Ideally, it removes the dex, but if it removes fire res, that's okay too. And then we will get guaranteed global defense on the prefix. There, look at that. That is now 3 perfect mods already on the item. Now I will use a preserved collarbone. Now you can gauge it. Do you want a preserved prefix, a desecrated prefix, or a desecrated suffix? Here, the item is basically perfect on the prefixes. I can't really think of anything else except for flat ES that I could get on the prefix, and I could get res on the suffixes. It's up to you which one you want. Now I would prefer to get a prefix, but since both of them are kind of okay-ish, I'm just going to let the fates decide if they give me a prefix or a suffix. It's a suffix. That's okay. So normally at this step, okay, after the desecration, you would use a homogenized exaltation to finish the item, right? In most cases. Right now, this is a 4 mod item, and there is no way to get your 5th and 6th mods without the homogenizing omen. But that's okay. The whole point is that's okay. Because look at this item. Look at this item. 45% ES, 30% global defense, 1 res, and I'm not about to go desecrate the final mod. Let's quickly go over there to do that, just to show how this could look in the end. Alright, I came to the realization that I am in standard, and the Well of Souls is currently not in standard, I think. So this is just going to remain as is for now. But let's just pretend for a moment, just pretend, use your brains, that that final desecration, that could have been crit damage, that could have been crit chance, that could have been cast speed, that could have been hybrid fire and chaos res, hybrid res. It could have been any of the modifiers that can exist on this item that you can choose from up to 6 different options, right? Omen of Abyssal Echoes also exists, all that stuff. So, point being, crafting is not dead at all, thanks to the existence of desecration, perfect essences, omens, greater essences, and all the perfect stuff over here. But there is still the omen, the greater exalts, right? The item isn't finished. It's a 4 mod item. So now let's just slam this twice and see what I get. Okay, boom. Evasion rating, that's honestly, if this was for an evasion ES character, that's huge. Right, hang on, let me just fish out another greater exalt, if I can find where the hell that went. I have no idea. Alright, sorry about that. Standard tabs, it's a mess. So, final exalts now, boom. Mana regen. So, that's not that bad. I don't know which build will use this. Evasion ES with mana regen could be something. But then the final suffix could, again, be something good. Desecration. Point being, it's all good. Now, some of you might say, well, what about if you can't get a magic item? Well, you can make one yourself, right? That also still exists. It's going to be a more expensive option, but it also exists. You use a perfect transmute onto an item, like so. Perfect regal, like so. There you go. It's already good. It has tier 1 ES. Let's say that didn't happen. Let's say you failed. You just keep on doing that and you do get something. There you go. That's tier 1 spirit. Tier 1 spirit base. What about if you go again? There's tier 1 spirit again. You get the point, right? It's like crafting is not dead by any means. The only thing that's gone is this creepy little dude over here. Everything else fully exists. It's all good. But that's it for this video. Now, I'm not done though, because apparently my existence in PoE 2 is just very based around crafting. I really enjoy crafting because the endgame doesn't really exist. So I will be making a ton of different crafts during the league. I will test out and see what that special crafting mechanic inside the temple is. I will be making videos on it, of course, because I don't want all of you to go around and thinking crafting is dead and the game is dead because of it, because it's very much not. And before the league launches, I will be making some crafting videos. I don't know. T, are you insane? The league isn't even on yet and you're already making crafts? Yes, because certain crafts will just be super, super profitable and super desirable as soon as the game starts, okay? Before people get to the end game, because that Royal Architect, that is an end game boss. That is not a boss that you will see in your early maps, even in your yellow maps, I think. I'm pretty sure that guy is only for red maps. That's when he will start spawning. So before that, you will have to use these same systems that I just showcased. You will need to use these to craft your new talismans for shapeshifting or whatever else, right? Your wands, your focuses, whatever. So I'm going to be using a build that is shapeshifting focused. Obviously, I'm going to play the new stuff and I'm going to post a video on how you can craft your own talismans at league start as soon as you reach map, as soon as you get some currency to get some of these omens and stuff. I don't know how much these will be when the new league launches. Maybe they're going to be super expensive. Maybe they'll be super cheap. We'll have to see. But as long as the drop rates have not changed in Abyss, drop rates of Abyssal Echoes and the collarbones and bones and whatever else, as long as that's not changed, then it should be completely fine. And Abyss actually would be very profitable to farm because you'll be able to sell this stuff to other players that want to craft. So that's going to be all from me. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, And I hope you guys learned a thing or two and maybe will stop dooming and glooming so much about the league. It is a sad league, no endgame, but it's not that bad. Okay, so I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. And a huge shout out to all of my patrons: ZeroXCC, Axel Jacobs, Bridgeburner, Creative Extent, Darkar, Grimmergar, Guiz, Hayden Woodilo, Infamous Crass, Ludorus, Real Mayar, Om Nam Nam, Scarface, and Sebi2K. Thank you guys so much, and I hope you all are ready for an amazing or potentially amazing PoE 2 season.